Hello there and welcome back to Arctic Retro Computer channel. And today it's another restoration video, and it is Commodore VIC-20 that I have on my bench currently. So this Commodore VIC-20, I don't know the state of it. It is supposed to be working, but I haven't tested it yet. And I got it from a friend that wants me to take a look at it and restore it. And with that I mean make it look nice and new again and replace the capacitors and stuff like that. Alright, let's get right to it now and take a look at this machine. And it looks alright, not very dirty or anything. It is of course quite yellowed, and you can see that this machine has been used a lot because it's very shiny on the edges where the palms have been working. Backside looks alright, even more yellowing. It's more like brown on the edges here. A little bit dusty inside, it looks like, but besides that the machine looks alright, no damages. I have hooked up the machine and turned on my TV, and I'm gonna test it briefly now. Yep, seems to be working. And as usual on these machines, the picture quality is not the best. As you can see, there's some coloring and artifacts going on, and not very nice, but that's how it is. I'm gonna do a full test with diagnostics cartridge and test hardness later, but for now let me just open the machine up and see how it looks inside. These machines have only 3 screws in the front under. So this video is not gonna be very long or anything. It's just a quick demonstration of how you can what should we call it, renew a Commodore VIC-20 and future-proof it so that it lasts longer. Alright, so the inside and the motherboard looks just fine. Not dirty at all, and everything looks to be in order. So it's funny how some of these old machines can actually look like new even though they are 40 years old. Then I come over some of these machines that are very dirty, full of dust and all sorts of dirt, so I guess it depends on the owner and what he does with it. I'm gonna remove the motherboard so that the case can be cleaned. And this paper RF shield, there's no use for it actually anymore. I'm also gonna remove the keyboard because I need to clean, of course, the top part of the case. So there's 8 screws actually. Alright, the machine is in bits, and now I can take the plastic pouch, the case, and I'll just clean it real good. Next is the keyboard, and it is a bit dirty and very dusty, so I'm gonna remove all the keys. I use this cheap tool, key puller. It's handy because some of these can sit really hard. Oh. So this seems to be okay, and there's springs we need to take care of. Springs are alright, not rusted. Now on these types of keyboards, the only special key here is the space bar, and it has a metal support inside, so need to be a little bit careful there, and yeah, make sure you don't rip out this metal support. And the spring is a little bit longer than the others, so keep that one separate. I'm not gonna take off the backplate, the PCB of the keyboard, because I first gonna test this keyboard, and if it's working okay, then there's no need to remove that. Keys are all clean and dry, and now I'm gonna wipe off this keyboard. Alright, that's clean, and now I'm gonna do the fun part, insert the keys. There were actually a couple of the springs that had a little rust. For example, this one, if you can see here, it's black and it was rusted, but now I have sprayed all the springs with some WD-40, and I'm ready to assemble this keyboard. Alright, that was the keyboard, cleaned, and everything looks nice and shiny, so hopefully this works great. We'll test later. Next task on the list is the motherboard, and yeah, looks alright. Just gonna blow it free of dust and remove some dirt, and then I can go on with the recapping of this board. Cleaning the PCB is quite easy. You just need a little alcohol, like this isopropyl alcohol, or isopropanol as it's called here in Norway at least. It doesn't look very dirty or anything, but there's always a little blackness, and that's probably some oxidation going on over the years, or contamination from yeah, air pollution or anything. The backside of the board looks quite alright. Nothing to say actually. Says here assembly number 251037, copyright 1982, and this is a revision D board. Finally, I'm gonna spray some electronic contact cleaner into all the contacts. And I use this fiberglass pen to clean off the contacts, make them really shiny. Probably not necessary at all, but that makes them look good. Alright, so now it's time to do the recapping, and that's quite an easy job on these machines because there aren't many electrolyte capacitors, and I'm gonna replace the few that are there. It's this one, 2200 micro, 100 microfarad, and there's this one at 10 microfarad, and 3 probably for the video circuitry, and yeah. Besides that, there's no more. There's a bunch of these ceramic caps, but we usually don't replace those because they last for a very long time. And here's all the caps. They should be a good brand. Let's see here. This is VIC. That's a good brand. And yeah, I think the others are Nishikon. Yeah. And if you are replacing electrolyte capacitors, you should always find the same value in farad. This one is 2200 microfarad. But the voltage doesn't necessarily need to be exact. You can go the same voltage or a little bit higher, that's no problem. And the temperature rating should of course be as high as possible. This one is rated for up to 105 degrees Celsius. But in a machine like this, that actually doesn't matter. So if you have a cap that's rated for only 85 degrees, then it's quite alright. Alright, I'm gonna quickly desolder the caps and insert the new ones, and start with this large one here. And I'm using my desoldering iron, desoldering station. Alright, caps are out, and I'm just gonna clean a little bit on the solder pads and then solder in the new ones. In with the new ones, and the polarity is of course important when it comes to these kinds of capacitors. This is marked as plus over there, and the arrow points to the negative, the minus, so this is plus. Then some soldering. So that was the soldering, and just gonna snip off these legs, and then we're actually done with the motherboard. Recapping is done, and I'm gonna test if the board still works after that job, so turning it on now. Yes, it does. So I didn't damage anything, at least. That's good to know. But the picture quality is so and so, and I was thinking maybe I should try and adjust a little adjustable pots or capacitor. So let's see now, try this one first. So that seems to be some brightness control, but I think that is a lot better. Yeah. And this one, oops. So I think that actually reset it. I think that is an adjustable capacitor because it doesn't like metal in the screw, so probably messes up the capacitance on that one. So that actually has an effect a little bit on the picture. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. So let's see now, I have zoomed in. It was like that, and now it's like this. So that's much better. And now a little test of the keyboard. Keyboard working just fine. Next up, I'm gonna run a little bit of diagnostics testing on this machine, and I have inserted the super expander, and it is configured with VIC-20 diagnostics testing. And to run that test, you actually need this harness, which I got here, a testing harness that makes it possible to test all the external peripherals and the ports. I'm going to remove the keyboard because there's actually a dongle for the keyboard as well. And it's this one. All right, let's see now. All right, it's testing. I actually remember now that you have to disable the RAM expansion on the super expander for the diagnostics part of this cartridge to work properly, so I've done that. Let's see now. Yeah, that seems to run further at least, and it has a ROM check error 7A bad. I have seen that before. I have another VIC-20 which apparently works just perfect, but this diagnostics test comes out with a ROM check error, and I concluded that there's nothing wrong with that machine. However, this is an indication because I have another VIC-20 that did not report an error like that, so there might be some differences in the ROMs, and this super expander has an old diagnostics test on it from back in the day, a copy of an old diagnostics cartridge. So yeah, it might be not perfect, but that's what we have. So what I'm gonna do now is to actually test that I can load games from both tape and floppy disk. But the first test I'm gonna do is this Omega Race cartridge. Yep, seems to be working. Nice. Oh man. Next I'm checking out the loading from floppy with this Pi 1541 adapter. So it's not from a real floppy drive, but this is what they call a cycle exact emulation of a 1541 floppy drive. So now we should be able to issue some floppy disk commands like load $8. Oh, I can't type load $8. Yeah, and that works fine. So for this to work, you need to load the loader. So it's called File Browser 20 for the VIC-20. Or you can use the buttons on the Pi 1541. And now we can browse the memory card. I don't remember what's on here. I think this one maybe should work. Yeah, that's a simple game running on an unexpanded VIC-20. I think it's just a basic game. Yeah, it is a basic game. So we can list it. Next test is tape, and I'm just gonna plug in Commodore 64 cassette player here and just try to load some tape. Even though I haven't got any tapes for VIC-20, we can try with a Commodore 64 tape. And it should be able to find at least the file, but not load it because it's way too big. Let's try loading. Alright, yeah, it found Super Cycle, which is the game that's on the tape, so yeah, but it just stopped immediately. But at least I have tested that it can load from tape if the tape is working and it is for a VIC-20. Finally, one last thing I want to do with this machine is to add a few heat sinks, and yeah, that is for mainly for the CPU and the graphics chips. The other are not that hot, so it's not that important, but I'm gonna add some heat sinks to, yeah, the large chips at least. Clean off with some alcohol. Now, if you are concerned with the cooling of a machine like this, you should actually get rid of this cardboard, because of course it will prevent some of the heat from escaping. Alrighty, the machine is working and looking very nice. So this was yeah, simple job, but it's something I like to do. So yeah, hopefully you like to see it also. So now I can play a little more Omega Race. So the owner complained about the bad audio, but on my TV the audio is just fine, so there's nothing wrong with the audio. Okay, the machine is finished, and I think it came out great. So hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more, then press that subscribe or the like button below. And special thanks to my Patreons over at patreon.com. See you, bye bye.